All right, so we're on the 1025 practice. This looks like more work than it is. So it's really not that much. Right. In Germany, citizens have 18% less economic freedom than citizens in the United Kingdom. What fraction decimal show how much less freedom Germans have? All right, let's start with the obvious one here. 18% is out of 100, so we need to move the decimal 2. So that's our first answer. Now, fraction, we could either read that as 1800, so write it over 100 and reduce, or remember that percents are out of 100. Common factor here is just a 2. So that's going to give us 9 over 50 for number 1. Number 2, only 26% of students like Miss Nelson's class. What fraction decimal like her class? Same as the last problem. Move that decimal over 2. 26 hundredths, right? That's 26%. Okay, so that's 26 out of 100. Percents are always out of 100. We can only divide that one by 2 also, so we have 13 over 50. Number 3, Chipper Jones has a career batting average of 304. That's how often he got a hit. What percent of the time did he get a hit? Well, you take the decimal times 100 to get the percent. So he got a hit 30.4% of the time. Look for where the decimal is there. All right, D, Violet Baudelaire was perplexed because of Count Olaf's scheme. In fact, Klaus was perplexed too, but Violet was 3.5 times as perplexed as Klaus. What percent describes how much more perplexed she was? Lots of words here, but they don't really mean anything, okay? Other than that we're looking for a percent. So we're looking for 3 is 300%, right? Because if you had 3 holes, you want to make it a percent, you move it over 2, so 300%. So now we just need to know what is 1/2 is a percent. Well, percents are out of 100. Hopefully you've memorized this one by now. Remember, there's a Quizlet deck for that. So that's 50%. So we have 300%. We have 50%. So we have 350%. Okay. E, 58% of West Side students prefer chicken sandwiches to pizza. What fraction and decimal shows the portion that prefer chicken sandwiches? All right. So we're going to take the percent and make it a decimal. So 58 hundredths. Again, we write 58 over 100. We always reduce our fraction ratios, right? And that gives us 29 over 50. And if you didn't know how to do that, well, you do it like this, okay? All right, now a little bit more difficult here. So Mr. Carter guessed that oceans make up 4/5 of the water on Earth. He was wrong. In fact, oceans contain 96.5% of Earth's water. How many percent did I underestimate? Okay, so since we don't have percents to compare, we need to be talking about the same thing. So I'm going to take this fraction, this ratio, and I'm going to put it over 100 so I have a percent. So now I know that I had guessed 80% to begin with. Well, 96.5% is accurate minus 80%. Make sure you line up the decimal. Decimal's at the end if you don't see it. Okay, so when you add or subtract, you have to line up your decimals. So we have 16.5% that I missed the answer by. All right, G. In Hornbuckle, a dog is barking about 3/5 of the time, while in Hampton Downs, the dog is barking 65% of the time. Chloe thinks the dog is barking in Hornbuckle more often, while Oscar thinks the dog is barking in Hampton Downs more often. Who is correct and why? Okay, so we need to compare the percents or the fractions over the same denominator, common denominator. Me personally, I would go with the percent, right? So 3/5 over 100 times 20 times 20. So that's going to be 60%. Okay, so that would be Hornbuckle is 60% and Hampton Downs is 65%. So Oscar is correct since dogs bark, and this is where you make a comparison 5% more often in Hampton Downs. All right. H. Mr. Carter drinks out of his Snoopy cup 7 out of every 10 days. Emma guessed that he drank out of his Snoopy cup 75% of the time. By how many percent did Emma miss being right on her guess? So it's the same idea as problems F and G here. So 7 out of 10. Hopefully you're getting pretty comfortable with these. All right, so that's 70%. Okay, so if the guess was 75%, the miss was 5%. Why? Well, 75 minus 70 is 5%. All right. I, Charlie, is the Carter family dog. He spends about 45% of the day sleeping, 1/20th of the day staring at the door, looking for something to bark at, and 0.12 of the time looking around the house for food on the floor to lick off the floor. The rest of the time, he's looking for somebody to pet him. What percent of the time does Charlie spend looking for someone to pet him? This is probably about accurate, actually. So I would say make them all percents. Okay. So you know that there's 100% of the time, right? That's automatic. So what we're looking for here is how much we have to take away to see how much of the time is left that he does the other things he does, for looking for people. So we have 45% already. 0.12 is going to be 12%, easy enough. All right. And then 1/20th, we're going to say, all right, percents are out of 100. That's going to be 5%. All right. So we have 45%, we have 12%, and we have 5%. Right. So that's 62% we've already got that he's doing something. So now we need to subtract. All right, so that's 38%. So Charlie, according to these stats, spends 38% of his time looking for someone to pet him. That's about right. Last one. Jay, use the chart for the last question. And I will say this chart might actually be on the quiz this week, and just ask a different question. If the same ratio of people preferred the ice cream, soda, and popsicles as shown in this chart, how many people would you expect to prefer soda out of 560 people? All right, so ratio in words here. We're looking for ice cream, soda, and popsicle. So we're looking for soda out of total. So soda out of the total people. Okay, so in the problem we got up here, there are 20 that prefer soda. 20 plus 10 is 30, plus 40 is 70. 20 out of 70 prefer soda. So if the ratio stayed the same, if there were 560 total people, you would expect that, so that's times 8, you would expect 160 people to prefer soda. Okay, so that is our 1025 practice. Get that turned in.